As New York City prepares for a major snowstorm, the winds of change hitting the city's Office of Emergency Management. Commissioner Zach Iscol announcing his resignation, a story you saw here first on PIX 11. Why he's leaving the department just a few weeks into the Mamdani administration. Governor Sherrill keeping New Jersey Transit President Kris Kolluri on the job and expanding his role to oversee the New Jersey Turnpike, what riders and drivers can expect in the new administration. Plus a promise for utility bill relief.
And I hope, New Jersey, you'll remember me when you open up your electric bill and it hasn't gone up by 20%.
How New Jersey residents feel about Governor Sherrill's Day 1 executive order to sound the alarm over high costs for gas and electric. A busy PIX on Politics starts right now.
This is PIX on Politics with Dan Manarino.
And welcome to PIX on Politics, everybody. I am Dan Manarino, and we have an unexpected, or some may say expected, shakeup in the Mamdani administration. The Emergency Management Commissioner, Zach Iscol, handing in his resignation this week. It's a story you saw right here on PIX 11 first. Mayor Adams appointed Iscol early in his term. He's been in the role since February of 2022. And as commissioner, Iscol led the city's emergency response from weather events to the migrant crisis. Now, his last day in office is February 11th. So the big question is, what comes next, and why did he decide to leave that post just a few weeks into the Mamdani administration? Commissioner Iscol is going on the record. Commissioner Iscol, great to see you. Welcome back on PIX on Politics.
Great to be here. Always love being with you. Sorry, Hazel's not with us.
I know
it's later in the day, but
it is later in the day. Let me talk about the decision here, right? Because some are saying it was unexpected, some are saying it was expected.
Right.
Why the timing of right now to leave?
Yeah. So a couple things. One is I'm now one of the longest serving emergency management commissioners.
Yep.
And I think, these jobs they're an immense honor, an immense privilege to be able to do this work, to get to work with the folks that we're working with. We have this snowstorm coming in this weekend, and I will tell you, there's nothing like working with the men and women who actually do the work to prepare the city for something like this. And I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss this job. At the same time, it's been 4 years, and I had been planning to leave last spring. When we had a number of deputy mayor resignations last spring, I decided that the responsible thing was to stick around. But the other day I was at school drop-off. I picked up my youngest, who's 7. He's getting heavier, and this is a job where your phone is on 24/7.
Yep.
And it sounds like a cliche, but I've got a young family, and I want to be able to enjoy some of these years with them.
So you wanted to leave last spring, but because of what was going on with the turmoil in the Adams administration, you said, let me stick it out. And then there was a new mayor. Did he want you to stay on board?
So the conversation I had with them is I had a conversation with Dean late into last year where he sort of asked me to stick around. I told him, look, I am 100% on board for making sure that there is a responsible transition. And that was the conversation that we had. I'm leaving an agency that has 100% of our executive staff positions filled. We have historic low vacancies, historic high retention. And I have one of the best first deputies in the business, Christina Farrell. She and I have been through war together the last 4 years, and I know I'm leaving the agency in really good hands.
Did they want you to stay?
We didn't even end up having that conversation. I made clear to them that I was looking to get on to the next chapter of my life.
So the first deputy then, do you want her to take over for you? Do you feel like that is well poised? Are you making that recommendation?
It's the recommendation I have made. I know that the administration wants to run a process. I think they should run a process. But I have seen, look, I think however you want to judge my time here at emergency management, I would say if you want to judge it as successful, I would say a lot of that success is really on the team, and she has been a huge part of that team. And I would highly recommend her for this job.
Yeah,
I have highly recommended her for this job.
So I found out the news through some sources earlier in the week. We were the first to break the story, and it got over 100,000 reposts on the platform of X, with a lot of people applauding you for your efforts, elected officials and others. So clearly you've made an impact on the city. Do you want to stay within the public world? Would you run for office again? I know you're a former mayoral candidate. There's been talks of your name maybe being for lieutenant governor.
That's the first time I've heard my name being thrown out there for lieutenant governor. But look, I'm a public servant. I love public service. What is next for me, I think, is going to be in the private sector for a short period of time. I do look forward to the day that I come back to government in some
so that's
form.
interesting. Okay, so I'm going to listen to your words carefully. You said for a short period of time you're going to go to the private sector, so you could run for office. Do you want to run for office?
I am a public servant, and I'm not trying to be coy, right? Like, I think, honestly, like, the thing that gets me out of the bed for the last 20 years has been working with others who are of service, whether it was in the Marine Corps, in the nonprofit sector. Even the things I've done in business in the past have been with a double bottom mind and an eye towards leaving the world better off. And I need that in my life.
Yeah.
And so I will find other ways of fulfilling that. There's a lot of ways I'm looking to stay engaged in New York City. I've made some remarkable and built some remarkable relationships with different organizations and groups around the city, in Brownsville, in the Bronx, that I'm looking forward to getting even more involved in over the next couple of years. But we'll see. You know, as I said, the number one priority for me right now is being a dad and a husband.
But you don't want to say where you're going in the private sector.
Not ready yet. Ink's not dry.
Okay, fair point. But you are going to get the question, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, is did you agree or not agree or align with the Mamdani administration, and many saying some people are leaving because they don't agree with it or didn't stick around because of it? Was there a difference of opinion of how to run the city?
Look, I think Mamdani said late, I was following some of the news, and one of the things he said that was really important to him was that when he hires commissioners and leaders, he doesn't really care if he agrees with them on everything, but at least in their portfolio. And I think what I've seen over the last couple of weeks and working closely with him as an administration is there's very clear agreement on emergency management and in public safety. I will say the Deputy Mayor for Operations, Julia Curson, I had a conversation with my wife last week. She's been amazing to work for. And there was even a point last week where I was saying to Mayor, am I really making the right decision to be able to get to work for this really amazing woman? She came from New York State. And so, look, there are clear differences I have with Mamdani on probably a lot of other issues.
Like what?
You know, I'm probably more moderate on a lot of economic issues, on a lot of public safety issues, even outside of emergency management. Certainly, probably on some things on foreign policy. But on the day-to-day running of the city, I think we're very, very aligned on public safety.
But are you leaving because of those disagreements?
That has nothing to do with why I'm leaving. And I think also, you know, one of the things I learned in the Marine Corps, I remember on the worst day of fighting, we ran into a burning building under fire during the Second Battle of Fallujah to pull out a fallen Marine. And over the last couple of years, especially since 2016, which is a very contentious election, I saw that some of these Marines that I had served alongside during that worst day of fighting, we didn't agree on everything.
Yeah.
And I think what we have learned together, me and some of these fellow veterans, is it's okay to disagree on stuff. I think it's something we have forgotten in this country, is that we don't have to agree on everything. And I think in politics today, there is something about, you know, wanting, you know, there are a lot of politicians who benefit from that turmoil and sowing those seeds of disunion. But I think in the day-to-day service of running a city, you know, like LaGuardia said it best, nobody cares if it's a Republican or Democrat picking up your trash or who's plowing the snow on Sunday. What matters is that you're aligned and actually delivering these services. And I think there's something there about, like, we need to learn to disagree and still work together.
And that brings me to the storm on Sunday. Well said, by the way. And if this is your last hurrah, because it could be possibly the last storm that you'll be covering.
It could be a long 2 weeks.
Well, I know.
We'll see.
We're talking about a storm ready for next weekend as well. But how are we looking for Sunday in terms of keeping ahead of this? Because it sounds like a beast. Yeah.
So we have been closely monitoring the forecast for the last few days, working very, very closely with the National Weather Service and with all of our agency partners. And I'll tell you, like, one of the best parts of this job is I have a front row seat to seeing all of the men and women who work for the city and the work that they do to prepare a city for an event like this, whether it's sanitation workers who have been out there starting today, brining the roads, the folks that are going to be putting chains on tires of buses and trucks, you know, tomorrow, the folks that are going to be de-icing the East River bridges, the tow truck drivers that are going to be out there making sure that we're clearing the roadways. The city is prepared for Sunday. I think the big thing that we are concerned about is just making sure that New Yorkers are taking it seriously. We could have whiteout conditions on Sunday. It's going to be very dangerous. We want people to stay at home, not just for their safety, but to allow our crews to do their work of plowing the roads and to allow emergency vehicles to get around the city to respond to things as they need to.
Commissioner Iscol, I always appreciate you coming on and making the time for us. I don't know if this is our last conversation, but it's been great having you each and every time.
Yeah, you too. I really loved it. And I appreciate the work that you guys do in the news industry. Getting information out to the public.
Should there be snow days? Should there be snow days?
You know what? You're going to get me in trouble. You always want to. My personal vote is
give them a snow day.
Give us a snow day.
Give us a snow day. All right. Still to come. Still to come, everybody. New Jersey Transit's president sticking around in the Sherrill administration, even expanding his role from the rails to the road. So Kris Kolluri joining me next. PIX on Politics back in just 2 minutes.
You're watching PIX on Politics with Dan Manarino.
And welcome back to PIX on Politics, everybody. Another busy week. Here are the big political headlines in case you missed it, okay? So you can now officially call her Governor Sherrill. The new administration sworn in on Tuesday. Governor Sherrill signing 6 executive orders on day one, including declaring a state of emergency on those utility costs. That was her big promise. In New York, Governor Kathy Hochul announcing her budget for the upcoming fiscal year, where she will need to balance lofty promises like universal child care with expected steep losses of federal funding. And a major shakeup ahead of this year's midterms. A judge ruling that the borders of New York's 11th congressional district are unconstitutional and need to be redrawn. New York 11 is Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis' district, the only New York Republican in the House. So what does all this mean? Well, it could lead to some major switch-ups on the ballot. Our senior political reporter Henry Rossoff here to break all of that down. Henry.
Dan, huge local and national implications with this decision if it holds up on appeal. And to be clear, Republicans are planning a legal strategy to make sure that doesn't happen. But basically, a judge ruled that New York 11, comprised of Staten Island and southern Brooklyn, discriminated against voters of color, and he ordered a redrawing of the map. So here's what it looks like. New York 11 is a safe Republican district and would be remixed with New York 10. You see it there in blue. And here's the makeup of the new district. Lower Manhattan and Staten Island become sort of a swing district that favors Democrats, and New York 10, mostly in Brooklyn, would be a safe Democratic seat. So what would all this mean? The likely result of it all means an important swing race heading into the midterm year between Nicole Malliotakis, who you just mentioned, on Staten Island, and Dan Goldman, who lives in Lower Manhattan, and now Brad Lander, the Brooklyn resident and former comptroller who was challenging Goldman as a Democrat in New York 10, would essentially be poised to walk into Congress without much competition. Again, if all this moves forward, and we'll find out soon because the judge ordered a redrawing in just 2 weeks from now, Dan.
All of that very interesting, to be continued. Henry, thank you for breaking that down. Back to New Jersey, where we go now, where Governor Sherrill is keeping New Jersey Transit President Kris Kolluri on the job. And not only that, she's now tasked him with an expanded role in overseeing the New Jersey Turnpike. So whether you ride the rails or drive on the roads, Mr. Kolluri has a role in that experience. And I got the chance to speak with Mr. Kolluri about this big responsibility. Here's our conversation. And Mr. Kolluri is joining me now. So, Mr. Kolluri, great to see you, and congratulations on your now joined job of New Jersey Turnpike Authority plus NJ Transit. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. My second job starts next week.
Yes, I know. So I want to begin right now with why, right? Why you decided to stay on with NJ Transit, and also now tack on the added responsibility of New Jersey Turnpike Authority, and what that will do for the folks of New Jersey to have both.
Look, I think the governor has a very specific vision of what she believes the transportation in the state of New Jersey should look like. And part of that view and vision is to make sure we have a more aligned transportation system. Our job shouldn't matter what agency we work at. It should focus on what we need to do to move the people of New Jersey from point A to point B in the most efficient manner. That's one of the reasons she's asked me to do this, and I'm tremendously honored that she would ask me to do that.
You know, I hear a lot from commuters, as I'm sure you do as well, Mr. Kolluri. So many of them say they're just simply not happy with how New Jersey Transit is running. And Governor Phil Murphy said he would die before he would rather. What was his exact quote? He said, "I'd rather die than and fix New Jersey Transit before the end if it kills me." And so, how do you think New Jersey Transit's doing right now?
I think facts are important here. 60% of the train cars on New Jersey Transit are from the 1970s and 80s. Of course, it's not going to be reliable until we modernize. So one of the things I said, along with then Governor Murphy and now under my key Governor Sherrill, is to make sure we modernize the entire rail car system and bus system at New Jersey Transit. That means we will, by 2031, in the entire fleet of train cars and buses in the state of New Jersey will be modern. That will be the first time in 45 years that would have happened. That is how you build a reliable system. I understand people's frustration, but it is hard for anyone not to understand the fact. Of course, if you have a train that was built in 1970s, it's going to break down.
Yeah. And certainly these things take time and patience and money, right? And so there has been ongoing fare hikes that New Jersey Transit riders face, and there's another one slated for July. Will you keep that going for the years to come?
I think it's very important to understand. And by the way, this is just not New Jersey Transit. This is a global phenomenon when it comes to mass transit. New Jersey Transit makes 46 to 47 cents on the dollar for every dollar that comes in. That is because the cost of running a system is not meant to be profitable. This is a public service. So that means we need a reliable source of funding. One thing that the governor and the legislature did last time was to give us a corporate transit fees. I have put forward a roadmap, if you will, to raise $60 million a year without raising fare increases for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
If we can sell the land that we own. That doesn't mean we don't need more money to keep the system going, but I feel an obligation to make sure I'm a contributor to the solution and not just keep asking for money over it.
Right. So I hear you, but that means that in July they will face a fare increase, right?
I think the governor has said that we need to come up with a reliable, fair policy and a reliable source of funding. And that is a long-term conversation. Till then, we need funding source. The answer, if we don't, is we have to make some very tough decisions, which I don't think anybody wants us to make right now.
Yeah, and a lot of conversations that I've had with you and others over the years, that Amtrak has a huge stake in this, right? And they get a lot of the blame. So what is the relationship with Amtrak, and how much do you rely on them to fix some of the issues so that New Jersey Transit can be reliable?
Well, look, the partnership that we established with Amtrak last year when I started has turned to be a very productive one. If you notice, they made the improvements that we asked for last spring. So we didn't have the kind of summer of hell that we had in 2024 before I joined. I think in the long term, they need to make investments just like we do. We're about to start Portal, what is called cutover, which is going to lead to service disruptions in February. But at the end of that process, we're going to have a brand new bridge for the first time in 112 years. That means something for the riders. That's the kind of investment we need to continue.
You know, there's a lot of stake and talk about the Gateway Tunnel project, and President Trump has said that he doesn't want it to move forward. And that is a lot of federal dollars that would come your way to New Jersey Transit. You know that project very well. What is your conversation with Governor Sherrill and the president about getting that project back on track? No pun intended.
Look, it is the largest and the most important project in the country. The fact that we are now at a point where the tunnel boring machines are literally sitting in the port of Newark right now. They're not in Germany, they're here. The project is well under construction. To stop it now seems almost surreal to me, because we've been fighting for this for 30 years. Not because it is important just to New Jersey, it is important to the country. I'll say one more thing. President Trump is known to be a builder. I can't think of a more important project that he can take credit for building. I think this project should move forward, and I hope it does.
Mr. Kolluri, while I have you and I'm up against the clock, I do want to talk about one of the biggest snowstorms we're seeing in our area in recent years, and how NJ Transit is planning for that storm and what riders can expect if they do have to commute to work on Monday.
Look, by all measures, based on the forecast we are hearing, it is going to be a beast. The question is going to be, how big a beast is it going to be?
Yeah.
We are briefing the governor on various service levels, reductions that we may have to put in place, but we will obviously be monitoring the forecast very, very carefully. The only advice I have for our riders is Sunday is a day you can actually take time off and spend time with your family if you can, and stay at home and give both the cleaning crews on the roads as well as the train and the bus operators the chance to get out of the snow so we can be back in service Monday or Tuesday at the latest, depending on the intensity of the snow.
Do you anticipate having to shut down service?
We don't know yet. Obviously, the forecast changes a lot, as you know. We will make a better call on that sometime tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha. Mr. Kolluri, I appreciate your time and joining us on Picks on Politics, and I'll talk to you throughout the year. Good to see you.
Thank you so much.
And when we come back, how New Jerseyans feel about their utility bills and the actions to lower those costs. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Governor Sherrill immediately taking action on a major campaign promise. Day one, signing 2 executive orders hoping to provide relief for ever-increasing utility costs. So our Grace Gomez took to the streets to hear from you on what should be done to get those costs under control.
What was your utility bill last month, if you had to guesstimate?
Like around $400-some.
Okay, so it's a lot of money, right?
Yes, of course, everything is.
Governor Sherrill got sworn in today. She
Yes.
signed those 2 executive
Emergency, yes.
orders. What are your thoughts on that?
It should have been done a long time ago because this is just not the first time that PS&G, because that's most of everybody is on, has risen the cost for gas and electric. But I guess it's a start. Let's see what happens after that. The emergency state of emergency is, signed, was ordered today. So let's see where it goes from here.
Last month, I want to say like $500 for 2-bedroom.
Have you had to make any adjustments to your budget because of the high costs?
Yes, absolutely.
In what way?
Just cutting back on like the types of food, going to different types of markets. That's been the biggest thing.
What would you want authorities to do to see the cost go lower?
Maybe setting some limits on how much they're able to charge. I know that even just a few years ago, I wasn't being charged for the same size of apartment, that much.
Any thoughts on how the authorities could change the cost or lower the costs?
Produce more electricity. It'll bring down the cost. If they want to go with solar and wind, that's not going to do it. They have to build more power plants, preferably nuclear.
To be continued. And with that, our thanks to Grace Gomez. We'll be right back. Quick look at the week ahead. This weekend, early voting begins in New York special elections, including the race to replace Mayor Mamdani's former state assembly seat representing Queens. And this coming Thursday, early voting to fill Governor Sherrill's old seat in Congress begins. So there's a lot to cover. Thank you for watching, everybody. A very busy day. We'll see you next time.